everyone. I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. In this one, I really wanted to do this video, and I've been wanting to do it for a while now, but I've been wondering if it's a little bit too harsh. But then I decided, let me just do it and put it out there. And if you guys think it's too harsh, then you can just stop the video and watch something else. I get a lot of comments and a lot of messages from INFJs, and a lot of you guys, I think, are INFJs, or other people, and they say exactly the same thing. It's the same kind of refrain over and over again. Something to do with the fact that there's a person around them, a family member, a relative, partner, whoever it might be, and they want that person to change. There's something wrong with them, there's something not good about them, there's some characteristic flaw, or they're not spiritual enough, or they're not kind enough, or whatever it might be. Like, it doesn't really matter what the issue is. But most individuals, they'll message me saying, I'm always changing and I'm always improving myself and I'm always getting better and better, but this person around me doesn't. And I try to change them, but they never change, or they never listen to me. And so how should I do it? And in actual fact, I was that exact same kind of person before. When I was younger, I'd look at my parents. I read a lot of books, and I'd get all these self-help things, and I'd change myself, and I'd see the benefits, and I'd be like so excited about the benefits. And then I'd see my parents, or my sister, or my brother, or my partner, and I'd be like, oh, if they did it, they would be so much better as well. So as an INFJ, as a person, who's into self-improvement, we see the changes that happen with it, and we're so excited about the improvements because, of course, it makes our lives much better. Like meditation, I'm always talking about it because I see the benefits for myself, and so I want everyone to feel those benefits, right? I mean, like, that's how it is for us. We just don't want to keep it to ourselves. And so for me, I would be the same way. I'd be like, oh, so if I could teach them this, then they'd be awesome and their lives would be perfect and they wouldn't get angry anymore and they wouldn't fight anymore, things like that. But of course, I would try and teach them and I'd be like, yeah, you should do this. And did they do it? Not really, no. Most of the times they did not. And then I'd get angry about it or upset or frustrated. And that trying to translate it into resentment towards them, and then that affected our relationship because I didn't think well enough of them, or I put them down in my mind, and then obviously that translated into further poor relationships, right? So as I've grown up, I've realized that of course you cannot change anyone else. That's not the point. That's actually not the point. For me, I've realized very much so that once you start making those changes within yourself, and then you start seeing changes within yourself and within your life, everyone else around you will see it. They will actually notice those changes, and then they will notice the changes that are happening in your life and will want perhaps to bring those changes into their life as well, and they'll ask you what you've done differently. I'll give you a quick example of this because it illustrates the point very well. I did a liver flush, and I've spoken about it in a couple of videos. And I did a liver flush in March, and I loved it so much. It was really good for my body, really good for my mind-body connection, and a lot of the ailments, minor ailments, but ailments that I did have related to digestion and things like that, and hormones, a lot of them were fixed very automagically, right? Well, not magically, but they were fixed, and I was so excited about it. And so, of course, I told my mom about it and my sister about it, and I really wanted them to do it. But I never said anything like, I think you should do it too. Because I knew that as soon as I came back home and they saw my body and they saw the changes within my body structure and they saw that I was looking much healthier, looking much more happier because of this, I knew that they would automatically want to do one too. And that's exactly what happened. I never said, let's do one. I came back home and they noticed the differences. And every single time they're like, oh, so your belly looks so much smaller, or you've lost so much weight around your hips, or your skin looks so much clearer, whatever it might be. I was like, yeah, it's because of the liver flush. Well, maybe not exactly that everything was because of the liver flush, although I think a lot of things improved in my life because of it. But of course, in my head it was, and because it was in my head that way, they also thought the same way, and they did a liver flush with me as well because of that, because they saw the differences within me, and they were like, yeah, it actually does work. It has worked for her. It might work for me. So let's do it, right? And so that was very powerful for me because I've always been trying to make my parents meditate because I think it'll be really good for them. I want my sister to start doing yoga because I think it'll be really good for her. But some things they're never going to do, and that's completely fine. Like, I don't think my sister will ever start doing yoga because she absolutely despises the idea of it. Well, I shouldn't say never, but I've been talking to her about it for, I think, almost 18, 20 years now, and she hasn't done it. So some things they will not do, and they will not take it upon themselves. Some things they will, and then that's great. You've changed and influenced their lives and made it better in some little way, and that's great. But the main essence of this video, what I'm trying to get across, is that all you can change is yourself. Like, all you should really be focusing on is yourself, your own persona, your characteristics, your personality, your body, your mind, whatever it might be. It's your prerogative to change yourself only, and that's the realm that we have here. Now, of course, I do these videos and I'm like, yeah, you should go, you gotta do that. I'm only doing these videos because I know you guys are going to listen to me, and some of you actually do take the ideas that I share with you and actually run with it. But most of you don't, and that's also all right, because I'm doing this again for myself, because I love sharing ideas, and I'm like, well, I'm going to keep on sharing. Maybe it'll change one person's life, and that's perfect. That's exactly what I want, right? So in general, what the idea is that you can only really change yourself, and if as an INFJ, as a person, as an individual, you're thinking or imagining that you're going to change someone else, it's a far stretch to believe that, actually. I mean, you might end up doing some little things here and there, but I think the most influence you can really have on a person is when a parent has an influence on the child. Besides that, I think most other influences are very random and very ethereal. They don't last mostly, right? And it has to be the person themselves that has to change themselves. So stop being frustrated with that. Stop getting angry with a person because they're not changing or not taking on your ideas. Stop being upset because they're not taking your advice. Stop hating them or resenting them because they're not changing according to your standards. Again, we have very high standards for people as well, so it's not fair that we, as a person who has a high standard, tell everyone else to have the same high standard as us. Most people don't care. Most people don't have a high standard. And so why do we have to dictate that to them? We're not dictators. We shouldn't be dictators. We're pacifists, and we also are the kind of people who want people to live their lives. We always talk about the fact that let me live my own life. Let live and let live. So why are we doing that to other people? Why are we trying to force them to live into our molds? Why are we forcing them to live according to our standards? That's absolutely hypocritical of us if we do that. We always complain as INFJs that no one understands us, and no one, tries to understand us, and no one lets us be who we are, and everyone tries to change us. Why do we try to do the same thing to other people, though? Like, I notice this hypocritical stance in me all the time as well, and in a lot of INFJs, where we don't want to be changed by people. We want to be ourselves and allowed to be ourselves and allowed to be our weird selves. But then we're always trying to dictate our high standards upon other people. Why do we do that? It's absolutely not acceptable. And so again, as I said, try not to do that anymore. And if they don't change, then stop it. They're not looking for change. They don't want to change. Let them be, let them go, let them do their own thing. Stop being such a dictator, right? But also to realize that it doesn't mean that you stop sharing things completely, right? Share information. I'm always sharing information. I know most of you, as I said, are not going to take the information and use it, but maybe one of you will, and that's perfect. So in general, keep on sharing the information for sure, because it's our nature to share. It is important for us to share information because we know that it's going to make people feel better, right? We think. But in general, keep on sharing, but do not expect that anyone's actually going to use that information. Just leave it at sharing. Just keep it to that level that I'm going to share with everyone. If they use it, it's great. If they don't use it, it's great as well, because all I wanted to do was share this information, right? That's how I do it as well, as I said. I share the information, and I'm going to keep on sharing. I do a lot of different things, and I'm going to keep on sharing all this information. Most of you might not even care about this information. Some of you might, and one of you might actually use it. Either way, I'm going to keep on sharing this information for the rest of eternity, or until I die. And the problem, like the frustration that I used to feel that people are not using my information, I don't feel that anymore, because I'm not doing it so that everyone can completely change and become me. I'm doing it so that, you can understand more about the world, and maybe you're like, yeah, this is quite interesting, and maybe you look into it yourself, and maybe you will do it, maybe you won't, maybe you'll be like, oh, this is not for me. But either way, I've done my duty. And the same thing applies to you guys. Do your duty. Share it with the world. Share it with the people around you. But don't expect them to use it. That is not your priority. That's not your prerogative. It's not your realm. It's their choice to either take your information and use it or not. Either way, you have no right to say anything to them and no right to get angry with them or frustrated with them if they don't use your ideas. It is not your right to do that. You're not a dictator. This is not a dictatorial world that we live in. It's a democracy. People are allowed to do what they want. And if they choose not to take your ideas or use them, then that is their right. Absolutely their right. Okay? And so I hope this helps. I know this is something that can be a little bit harsh to hear because, as INFJs, we're always like, no, but I can make their lives better. It's not our right to actually say if we can make someone else's life better. The person has to do it for themselves, really. Again, as I said, don't stop sharing your information, though. Don't go completely to the other end where you don't talk to anyone and don't share your information with anyone. That's not the point of it. Still share your information, but just relax about it. It's not important if they use it or not, okay? Again, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support and your time, and I shall see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.